It's time to be the hero.
Welcome, everyone. This is number 6 in our series of district training assembly presentations. And tonight's presentation is on vocational service. And I can think of no one better qualified to talk with us about that this evening than past District Governor Bill Chase. Bill, you are on.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. Thank you for all of you for showing up at dinner time and on a weeknight. I sure appreciate that. So I'm going to start the screen share, Marilyn, if I could.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, and let me see if I can bring. Can you see my?
You're on.
I'm on. Good. All right, let me go full screen here. How's that?
That's
good.
perfect.
Perfect. All righty. So let me back up just a little bit because I didn't. There I am. So this year, as you know, District Governor Judy selected me as the Vocational Service Chair, and I was really privileged and honored to be able to have this position because it means quite a bit to me. A lot of people misunderstand what vocational service actually is. So tonight's agenda includes what the district vocational service chair's duties are, a short history of the origin of vocational service, the origin of the document we call the object of Rotary, and then putting the objects into action within our own clubs, ethical documents related to vocational service. I'm going to talk a little bit about vocational training teams and how they relate to vocational service. Then we're going to talk about being proactive when it comes to this avenue of service. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of why this means so much to me as a retired dentist. And when I was practicing dentistry, I was able to volunteer overseas. So you're going to hear a little bit about that and how vocational service has touched my life. Then we're going to talk about resources for your club, the RAVE Award, which is the Rotary Award for Vocational Excellence that District Governor Judy would like to present this year at her district conference. We'll talk about the district training assembly that's coming up on April 19th. And then I'm going to open it up for questions and open discussion. So I want you to feel free to stop me at any time, ask any questions, give me input, correct me if I'm wrong. All of these slides still contain the wording that I'm going to use in my presentation. So instead of sending you this huge file, you can take a screenshot of each of the individual slides by hitting Shift Command 5 at one time and capture, and that will automatically take a picture of a slide. So, as I said before, Rotary's least avenue of service, at least known avenues of service, is vocational service. You ask any seasoned Rotarian, what are the 5 avenues of service? And generally vocational, they kind of forget about it. They don't know that, oh yeah, that's vocational service. Not sure why that happens, because it's serendipitous that I'm giving this session tonight in January, because January is Vocational Service Month. So my role and responsibilities as the International Vocational Service Chair is to serve as a liaison between club members and our district committee. I'm here to help you develop and recruit speakers and facilitate vocational service training, to become familiar with model vocational service projects, and there are quite a few that we'll go through tonight, and to assist club vocational service chairs as requested if the clubs have a vocational service committee, and to assist at other district activities as needed. We'll talk a little bit more about the district training assembly coming up and what our part in trying to convey avenues of service education to you will be. As I said, I welcome this position from District Governor Judy because of my past experience globally through the TRF as a Rotary Dental volunteer. So we all know that Paul Harris himself established the groundwork for this avenue of service. This is the backbone of why we exist. He did that in 1905 when he founded our great organization. It started with a vision of Paul to enable professionals with diverse backgrounds to exchange ideas and form meaningful lifelong friendships while giving back to society. And this is what vocational service is all about: giving back to society what you experienced growing up, having education to learn, so on and so forth. And all of the things that you can enhance: community outreach programs, philanthropy, capacity building, and community service, among many other avenues. As you know, Paul formed Rotary with three of his closest friends. They first met at Gus Lohr's office, and Gus is over here on the lower left. I'm sorry, he's on the lower right. Um, Sylvester Shealy is on the left, and you'll see standing up is Hiram Shorey. Paul said that Rotary is a cross section of the business and professional life of the community, and it's a privilege, and it certainly is, to reach out to a community to represent one's vocation in the community so that others are inspired and others may join our great organization. And our badges and most badges of most clubs contain a classification of the member, whether he was a senior active, additional active, rule of 85, which we no longer recognize because we don't have the attendance requirements that we once did. But you can see that this is a charter member of my club, the Sun Up Rotary Club, and he was secretary, I think, for 40 years. But Giller was an attorney. So we're all very proud of our backgrounds, our vocations, our avocations, our careers. 2 annual district events. We talked about this before we actually started the program for young people. They fall within the purview of vocational service, and they are the 4-way test speech contest, chaired by Mary Scott, and the music competition, chaired by Rob Haskins. And those district-wide competitions are coming up in a couple months. And I know Scott Atkins, our vocational service and youth service chair, is on, and he's preparing for our local competitions to take place. The Rotary document that best exemplifies the essence of what vocational service stands for is the Rotary Object of Rotary. It used to have 5 amendments to this document. They shortened it up to 4. And in 1922, the delegates at that time at a convention in Edinburgh, Scotland, created this document. And now it's the official motto of our organization. The council legislation then evolved from this delegation that appeared at the Rotary International conventions for many, many years. So now the council legislation is the one who sets the rules and regulations, in addition to the Rotary International Board of Directors. The council legislation handles the enactments, and the Rotary Board handles the resolutions, with no input except maybe some ideas. But it's the board's decisions to make any resolution they want, and that's how Polio Plus got formed, through a resolution by the board. The council legislation did not do that. So the concept of vocational service is rooted in object number 2 of the Object of Rotary, which says high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. It's important that we make a valiant effort to assure that each Rotary Club represents a cross section of the business and professional services of the community. How can we put the objects of Rotary into action within our own club? Well, we can talk about our professions in our club and take time to learn about fellow members' occupations in craft talks, classification talks. We have those as the Palm Springs Sunup Club periodically throughout the year. And that gives us a chance to learn more about who our fellow Rotarians really are and what they did before they got there. We can always also use our skills and expertise to serve a community. We can practice our profession with integrity and inspire others to behave ethically through our words and actions and role modeling. And that's where the four-way test comes in as well. One of the important aspects of how we can use our expertise and our talents is to help young people achieve their goals career-wise. We can do this through our Interact clubs. And that's why it's very important that if you don't have a Interact club that you've sponsored in your local high school, look and see if you can't do it, because it's not only a club that, once in a while you visit, but you can actually mentor these young people. And they're like, their minds are like sponges. They want to learn. They want to take what you have to give. And then we can guide and encourage others in their professional development as well. So the topic of ethics also falls under the purview of vocational service. And it was Paul Harris who said, whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world, it will be known by the results it achieves. So very meaningful and so very true. So the two creeds based on ethical concepts then developed and by and for Rotarians to help guide us through our daily lives are, number one, what I mentioned was the four-way test. And the four-way test was created by a Chicago Rotarian, Herb Taylor. If you don't know his background story, he, in 1932, had a morale problem with his employees at his plant that manufactured pots and pans. And he could see that the morale was dwindling, it was dying. So what he did is he created this four-way test, and it just turned his company completely around. They were in the black, they were making income, they were being able to pay, get more from a salary. It was just win-win for everybody concerned. Rotary officially adopted this motto in 1934, and then Herb later went on to become Rotary International President in 1954. The second one is the Rotarian Code of Conduct. And quickly, I'll read the important lines here. You pledge as a Rotarian that you will act with integrity and high ethical standards, deal fairly with others and treat them and their occupations with respect. Use your professional skills through Rotary to mentor young people and to avoid behavior that reflects adversely on Rotary or other Rotarians. The Rotarian Code of Conduct provides a framework for ethical behavior that all Rotarians can and should use in their businesses and professional activities. And both of these documents promote, of course, ethical behavior in the workplace. So as Rotarians, we have a dual responsibility, I feel, with regard to vocational service. And these responsibilities are to proudly represent our occupation within our club and to exemplify the ideals of Rotary in our places of work. Let's talk a little bit about vocational training teams. This is not part of vocational service. It is actually part of the Rotary Foundation, but it relates closely to vocational service and our objectives. Just recently, we sent a team to Brazil again, and it was headed by DG Judy. And we've been very active over the years. This used to be known as the Group Study Exchange Team, but they now have a different focus. GSE's Group Study Exchange focused on learning primarily. The vocational training teams focus on vocational interaction and training with like-minded professionals in other parts of the world. And that's completely, all of the team members are Rotarians, and they're all funded by the Rotary Foundation. What other ways can each of us be proactive in the area of vocational service? Well, there are a number of ways. We can join a Rotarian Action Group. You may not know what a Rotarian Action Group is. This gives you an opportunity to interact with like-minded individuals. So, for example, if you're a pilot, you can join the single engine pilot Rotary Action Group. If you're a ham radio operator, you can join the ham radio Rotary Action Group. There are hundreds of Rotary Action Groups in Rotary, and you just go on rotary.org and find out what fits best for you. And by doing so, like I say, you're going to interact with people with similar ideas. You can learn from them. They can learn from you. You can also join or form a Rotary Fellowship, pretty much like a Rotary Action Group, related to your occupation, your specific occupation. You can volunteer to work on a service project. We'll talk a little bit more about what kind of projects you can work on, but people are eager to tap your resources of educational experience and career experience to carry out a successful service project. You can share your expertise through your district resource network, for example, your Speakers Bureau, and you can participate in a vocation-related Rotary Friendship Exchange. You can go with a group of veterinarians or a group of OBGYNs or a group of chemists or whatever. Not sure why this is there. You can apply to be a member of a vocational training team. There is a application process and a vetting process that one goes through to be selected to be on a team. You can organize tours of members' workplaces. We used to do this when I was a member of Adrian, Michigan Rotary Club, and we would meet at other members' places of work and have lunch and then tour the office at the end of the lunch gathering. And that would give us more of an insight into who our fellow Rotarian members really are. We can hold periodic classification, like I said before, craft talks during our regular meetings to get to know your members better. And you can also provide career counseling for unemployed or underemployed adults through, again, your training, your experience in the workplace. So what does your club need to do to give vocational service the attention it really requires in your club? Well, you can first start by establishing a vocational service committee, if it doesn't already have one. And I would guess that maybe 20% of our 61 clubs have a vocational service committee. I may be wrong. I hope I am. The club vocational service chair will get to know the district's chair, and then important information will be funneled to that club on an ongoing basis. We'll talk a little bit more about the blog that I write articles for that you can access on our district website. You can also suggest to the Vocational Service Committee that it select an outstanding business or profession within your community. Now, this gains exposure for your club because it gets your name out there. You're looking for that premier business or professional office that has been truly successful within your community, and have that as your program. Let that person speak who owns the business, and then present him or her with an award. And then at the end of the year, we have a surprise for you. So hang on. What about these novel ideas? How about a business card in a basket? Present a basket or a stack of business cards from each of your members to new members when they come in, promoting your businesses to buy Rotary, to buy from Rotary businesses, to really give them the business that they need or they want. Everyone wants to support another Rotarian's business. You can set up a member advice forum. At a regular club meeting, consider inviting a member to discuss his or her specific vocational problems. Then the group is asked for ideas and feedback to assist these people in finding solutions. You can host a seminar for small businesses. And that would be run by people who have or are currently involved in small businesses, and let them speak to businesses who may be just starting out or who are encountering problems. And then you can schedule career seminars for your Interact Club. And this is, again, a mentoring program that I think is so vitally important to young people. I wish I'd have had it when I was growing up and going through middle school and high school. For people who are really, for kids who are uncertain as to what fields that they want to enter. You can gain a little bit more of an insight as to what vocational service committees do by going on the Rotary International website and asking them to send you this informative 12-page booklet on vocational service. I wish I had an EN number, but it wasn't readily available when I pulled this off the internet. So, I want to tell you a little bit about how I was blessed by Rotary International, especially the Rotary International Foundation, when in 1984, that was the first of my 13 international missions as a volunteer dentist through Rotary's 3H grants, Health, Hunger, and Humanity. Now, they stopped giving those out to dentists and physicians in 2006. And then they stopped altogether giving any money out through these grants in 2010. So the first 6 of my 13 trips were funded by the Rotary Foundation, and then I had to find money, which I financed myself for my other trips. But they were actually life-changing trips for me. So like I said, 1984, I called Rotary International, talked to a woman, the secretary of the 3H grant department. Her name was Rosalind Benford. And I think she started lighting one cigarette in the morning and smoking all the way through, not lighting one more match, because she had a raspy voice. I had met her. She was like paper thin. She looked like a chronic smoker, but she was one of the nicest people at Rotary International. God bless her. I think she's gone by now. But she said, have you ever been to the Philippines? And I said, no, but I'm game for anything. That's why I'm calling. She said, we're going to send you to Palawan, the island which is marked here in red. And it was an hour jet trip from Manila to get there. And as you see on the left, I was relegated. Those windows to the left of my door are not mine. That's not even my room. So you can see how small the room was. And that's me at, oh, geez, how old was I? 29, I think, at the time. And I worked there a month. I was in a Vietnamese refugee compound. And everybody who wanted to learn English and could successfully went to Bataan. And then after Bataan, for a 6-month stay, they would be sent to all countries of the world that were taking Vietnamese refugees. But I've really figured that this was a way of me giving back to society, because I never served in the war of Vietnam, because I had a healthcare deferment going through dental school. So I was the only dentist for 2,500 refugees. I saw about 40 patients a day and took out about 100 teeth a day. That's all I could do. No running water, no electricity. It was a real eye opener, but it certainly gave me a heartfelt appreciation for things that people don't have. Then my second volunteer assignment, that actually should say to 2010, these were all each 1-month assignments to Brazil. So I called Rosalind Benford again in 1992. It took me 8 years to get enough courage, because in the Philippines, I came back with typhoid fever, and it wasn't real pleasant recovery, but I still worked in my own office. And my sister would ask me every time between my patients in the US, why are you laying down on the couch? And I said, I just feel like crap. I just don't have any energy. So after 3 months of antibiotics, I got rid of it. But then I called Roz again and I said, Roz, are you going to send me back to Brazil or to the Philippines? She said, no, that compound's closed, but we do have a compound in Brazil. Now, this is on the Amazon River. It is 500 miles from the mouth of the Amazon, which is here in the Atlantic Ocean. So you go up here 500 miles, you go up here 500 miles, you get to Manaus. They're taking cruise ships now up to Manaus and back out and down the Argentinian coast. But that was a wonderful experience. I work with a number of cleft palate teams and orthopedic surgery teams, and each was a month long, and I did 12 of those. But it was, again, I had water, I had electricity. People back in my former district of 6,400 helped me raise 150,000 so I can renovate my clinic down there, and it still exists. And they're seeing many, many patients, more than I did, and God bless them. Then when I moved out here to the Valley in 2005, I got wind of the fact that the Smile Factory wanted volunteers. So you'll see me way back here. I don't know why I didn't get the front picture, but anyway, I'm just kidding. This is me back here. And I worked there for almost 5 years, treating poor kids in the Palm Springs Unified School District. And that was an exhilarating experience. But I have to tell you, the teeth that I saw in the kids in the Palm Springs Unified School District were worse than the ones that I saw in Brazil. And they still are not addressing the serious problem with dental decay among elementary school kids.
Much.
And I'm hoping that I've talked to District Governor Judy. I'm going to be talking to Loma Linda University. One of my friends is a Rotarian, who's the head of the clinics up there. Maybe we can put some money together in a grant and buy one of the vans that you see on the right and take it around the district and ask for Rotary dental volunteers to help out. We'll see. But all of the experiences I've had, I wanted to keep a journal, and the journal got so big that I published a book about my experiences. I don't have any hard copies left, but they can be found on Amazon, and all of the proceeds go to the Rotary International Foundation. It's called In Chase of a Cause. So if you wish to become more involved in vocational service activities, I suggest that you go to this website, the rotaryserviceblog.org, for ideas and more information from other clubs. What are they doing? What can you take from them that they're willing to share that will enhance your vocational service activities within your club and your community? And they will respond. And I said before that the district has its own blog. We got a little backed up with my articles because I was sending them to the wrong email address for Dan Goodrich. And Dan was good enough to print October, November, December, and January, all this past month. So you can read 4 different articles and even a couple before that I have written. And this tells you a number of things about what the district is doing in terms of vocational service and what activities we have planned for the rest of the year and the end of the year. So as I've said, the end of the year, we're going to have a Rotary Award for Vocational Excellence. And what I'd like each of you and your clubs to do, if you would, is to submit a name along with a nomination letter for your nominee, a business or profession owner who you think has greatly enhanced the overall scope of your community. And I want you to put in there why you think that person deserves this award and submit that to me at that email address, frndshp, friendship without the vowels 97 at AOL.com. And at the end of the year on May 17th, we are going to present the outstanding business in the district with an award signifying that that business or profession has made a impact on the lives of people within this district community. We have a district training assembly coming up, and the only reason I say this is because we're going to talk more about the avenues of service and why they're so important. We're going to zero in on a community service. You'll see that this is broken down into 4 different time frames. We're offering 8 courses in the first 45 minutes, 8 in the second, 7 in the third, and 7 in the fourth, for a total of 30 sessions. So I don't think we're going to miss many people who have a desire to learn anything about Rotary that they want to. And we have some excellent facilitators. This is going to be facilitation. It's not the protocol that I've used today with you, where I'm lecturing to you. I'm giving you, all this information. They're going to allow you to participate, to dialogue, and maybe sometimes to debate different ideas back and forth. We're always open for more ideas and more input from you who've been there and done that and lived it. So it's April 19th, 2025, again at Tockwitz High School in Hemet. This is for everyone, especially make sure your incoming officers and your committee chairs know that this is a really important session for you to attend. It goes from registration at 7:45. You see up there, mine's a little bit blocked, and then we end with lunch, and then you're free to leave. So we've got secretary training, we've got treasurer training, international community, and 5 avenues of service training, membership, you name it, we've got it. You can contact me at any time. Again, there's my email address, my phone number, and I sure appreciate your attention. And I am open for questions or whatever comments you would like to give. And I'm going to try to get out of this screen. Marilyn, can you get out for me?
I'm not sure I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, can you end your PowerPoint? Can you close it out?
This meeting is being recorded. I don't see where, oh shoot. Hang on, let me just go up here. Maybe I can. Oh, previous end show. I do think there. Am I ended?
You still have your first screen up, which shows all the slides on the side, so you haven't closed out the program.
Hey, there I am.
There
Perfect.
you are.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions, comments, ideas?
Raise your hand or shout it out.
I must have either been excellent at presenting or everybody was asleep.
Just to thank you, Bill.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
Good to see you always.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your attention. No comments? There was one chat box here that I want to. Oh, DS. Who's DS? Dennis.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's simply to say I was in Puerto Princesa about the same time you were.
You really?
Yeah, we had a Business International session there, and I'm not sure why they picked Palawan and Puerto Princesa, but it was a Business International get together, and it was very helpful to me because I had to do something pretty difficult, which was to fire a Filipino that was working for us for a long time. And I went one-on-one with a fellow that was Asian himself and very instructive on how to get that done without raising a lot of complaints and angst and getting yourself into all kinds of trouble. And a lot of it was just trying to figure out how to save face for the person that was getting terminated, if you will.
Well, you were there like 4 months before I was. I did this stint in September.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll be darned. Well, that a small world. Any other comments?
Bill, I have a question. I was a little surprised when you said that the students in the Palm Springs Unified School District, their teeth were in worse shape than the ones you saw in the Philippines. What's the cause of that?
Lack of
I,
proper
I can answer that if he can't.
lack of proper oral hygiene, no fluoride in the water, sugary diet, malnutrition, poverty. They can't eat well because they can't afford the food. It's just
Lack of toothbrushes.
toothbrushes. They are, but limited. Toothpaste is limited.
Palm Springs Unified, as well as Hemet Unified, and many other school districts have huge percentages of students who get free meals. And those meals that they get are pretty much sometimes the only meals they get. During vacations, they often are able to pick up meals at the school. The biggest issue, I believe, with public education is that we don't offer the ability to get technical certification in various vocational fields at school at the same time as they graduate. And if they do have a technical certification program, they will still earn their same A through G requirements that it requires to get into any of the California universities. So if they decide to go for a vocational certificate, which often will pay them as much as a college graduated position, they can also decide to go on to college.
Thank you.
So Palm Springs is known for their under and malnutrition. It's there's the rich and the poor, and it's more of the poor that are in the public schools.
Well,
The rest, many of the
95
others are in private schools.
They say that 95% of the students in the PSUSD are at or below the poverty level.
Right.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Good job.
Thank you so much. And Marilyn, I'm just going to hand it back to you. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to give you this session. And I hope you learned a few things. And I hope you stayed awake during the whole thing.
I was watching. Everybody's eyes were wide open.
But I couldn't see a soul.
Your presentation was very informative, and I particularly liked the one about the four-way test and how that developed and how it led to this very active program of community service, a vocational service that we have. And you made another point, and that is it's probably the most underutilized of our service areas because people confuse it with community service or they blend it with community service. And so it's sometimes difficult to understand what various clubs are doing. I commend your club, Bill, and Scott for doing the trade talks. That's an excellent way to give people time in front of their clubs and talk a little bit about what they did or are doing with their professional lives. So if you haven't introduced that to your club, it would be a good thing to think about doing now. All right, seeing no questions and understanding that Bill gave us an excellent presentation, we're going to close this down. And if you need to contact Bill, please feel free to do so. I will send this recording out in a few days to each of you and everyone else in the district in case they didn't have the opportunity to attend. So with that, I wish you all a good evening and thank you for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bill. Goodbye.
Just like a movie. just like a storybook. We are the future, we're the ones they won't overlook. It's time to be the hero.